Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's episode, we're talking about the postseason one last time with active baseball. Pretty cool. We'll probably recap the World Series next week, but overall, it's the last time we'll be talking about baseball that's actively being played until March. In this episode, you have me, Scott, we have Chris, we have Phil, and Ty. Ty, good to see you. Do you want to just tell everybody what happened? Because I'm sure they're seeing your bandage on your head.
What bandage? I was just jumping up and down so hard when Freddie hit that grand slam. I'd hit my head. No, I turned 39 and lost my spatial awareness now that I'm getting old. So I hit my head getting out of the shower and took a chunk out of it. So
these things happen, Ty.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Chris is so smug.
I'm going to need one of those little like plastic benches to sit, just not be standing in the shower.
Mm-hmm. Chris is so smug up there with all of his hair protecting his head, unlike Phil, Ty, and I when we hit our head and stuff. I just thought, Ty, that was your like Nelly impression. I thought you were just trying to copy Nelly. That's your new style.
It's something. I have a little beanie that I could wear, but it's for the first time in the history of this office. I'm at work. It is actually not freezing cold. The one day that I would have an excuse to wear a beanie. So.
Hey, well, it looks good. Don't let anybody tell you different. So let's talk about the World Series. Dodgers are up 2-0. I was saying before, it easily could be 1-1 if there wasn't some poor managerial decisions, unless Freddie is just Freddie Freeman, right? We talked about that too, Chris. Don't want to take his credit away from Freddie. But it also could be 2-0. Like realistically, if Volpe gets a blooper in game 2. Like it's been a good series so far, but it feels like the momentum is swung. I want to hear your thoughts about what's happened, what we think's going on. What do you think, Phil?
I think the Dodgers are playing better baseball. Now, some of the more meaningful stats that we talked about pertaining to like who's going to perform, what sort of predictive in matchup stats with these two teams. And a lot of them had to do with the Dodgers players, some of their top players, not performing well historically in Yankee Stadium. So unfortunately, that hasn't played out yet because we've had 2 games in Los Angeles. We've had a questionable usage/coaching decision in game 1. We've had some clutch moments from the Dodgers as well. And now tonight, we're going to see how Walker Buehler does. Recording this, of course, on the 28th. So he's pitching tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yankees need a win. Like a lot of people will say, so what are the statistics for a team that wins the first 2 games of the World Series? They have what, an 85% chance?
87, I think is what I saw. 87%.
Wow.
And if they lose the 3rd game, then the chances go to about 0% to come back from that for the Yankees, right? At least from a World Series perspective. So limited data points, I guess, versus including ALCS and NLCS and that. But yeah, I didn't really expect this. The guy had said that, like, if I was to be a betting man, I liked the value, the plus 105. Ooh, a whole plus 105 you were getting if you took the Yankees to win the series. Now I'm eating crow.
Yeah. What if I told you heading into this series that Judge and Otani would have a combined 2 hits in the first 2 games? Not great. Not great. But I do want to talk to you, Chris, because your boy, Freddie Freeman, did something amazing. Do you want to break that down for us?
Yeah, that was pretty exciting, wasn't it? Yeah, on our blabbing about slabbing before the World Series, I said like I sort of casually predicted Freeman could have a Gibson type moment, and sure enough, that's what we got. Like that was incredible. That was amazing. Like my wife and I were just jumping up and down and screaming. It was really cool. I'm just so happy for him. He has had a horrific, 6 months, both with his kids' illness. He's playing with a broken finger. He's playing with a bone bruise in his ankle. It's been a rough season for him. And I was just really excited for him. That was awesome. And I cannot wait to see how Topps wrecks all of his SSPs next year by not giving us a single image of the moment. But, it should be, I'm excited for his cards next year. I'll put it that way, more so than I even normally am.
Yeah, pretty epic moment. I don't want to take away from the moment, but we talk about like the most boneheaded managerial move ever, bringing in Nestor Cortez to face Otani, Freeman, and Betts. Didn't make any sense when they had Tim Hill in the bullpen, who is like a specialist around this type of stuff.
Freeman still had to hit that pitch. He still had to hit it.
He did. And I did. Yeah, I don't know. I guess Nestor hadn't pitched in like over 30 days.
A long time.
He also is injured still. And they said he's still technically injured and he was going to fight through it. It's like, what was the thought process? And I'm sure if the Yankees don't come back, that's something they're going to talk about a long time. Okay, Ty, what are your thoughts from the first 2 games of the World Series?
Freeman's it's been legendary so far. He's got a couple home runs, in the first 2 games, but that first game it just felt special. Like Chris said, it has been a crazy year for him. Part of me, my prediction was Dodgers in 6, and it's mostly I like more of the players on the Dodgers. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but part of me, when he hit that grand slam, just kind of like put a pit in my stomach, because I was thinking back to that headline that said that like leaked out that Freddie's agent like sort of screwed him, and he would have come back to the Braves, but like didn't come back to the Braves. And on the one, so it's like, I'm happy for him. He's obviously having success. At the same time, Olsen obviously didn't have the season anybody, rooting for the Braves would have hoped for this year. And we sure could have used Freddie's services. So I don't know. It was a really exciting moment. It was Kirk Gibson like reincarnated. Like the whole thing was absolutely wild. We were sitting there. I was a little bit behind in the text exchange from our group chats, and somebody in the chat said like Nestor's coming in, and I thought it was a joke. Like I was like, there's no way that's true. Like the guy hasn't been pitching. Like why would they bring him in as a reliever? And then they did. And I just looked at my son, was like, Freddie's going to hit a grand slam here. This game's over. And bang. It was like, told you. So World Series has been very exciting so far. 2 good games, without a doubt. Yankees had their opportunity in game 2, to sort of get revenge, and they didn't deliver. And now it's definitely win or go home. And I think they're cooked at this point, honestly, but you never know.
Hey, I thought one thing really interesting about game 1 is like we talked about the Yankees, what they do well, what they don't do well, and their defense and their base running is known for not being good. And sure enough, I mean, Juan Soto / Gleyber Torres cost them pretty much every run leading up to that grand slam. Yeah. Like if he gets behind the Kike Hernandez ball of the corner, holds him to a double. If he doesn't short hop Gleyber Torres with that throw, or if Gleyber Torres bodies it up like a professional baseball player should, or Rizzo backs it up, like there's lackadaisical play there, and it cost them 2 runs. Yeah, in a 6-3 game.
Because the hard thing about it is Gleyber. I've watched the Yankees a little bit because of Soto this year. He's always just doing stupid airhead stuff out there at second. Yeah. Like just the dumbest things. Like he tries to catch a pop up on the side to look cool, and it drops. It's just like, Gleyber, stop being stupid. Like it's very frustrating. And Soto, we've seen a few moments this postseason where he just looked bad in the outfield. Yep. And he's a Gold Glove finalist, though. So take that for what it's worth.
So the other thing I would point out too is just the moves that the Dodgers made at the deadline that have proven to be, really big for them. Obviously, Flaherty in his last outing prior to this World Series outing got, absolutely annihilated. And Dave Roberts just left him in seemingly to torture all of us. But he had a solid outing there, and he's been decent. He's been, with their bullpen with their, starting rotation decimated. He's been really big for them since they acquired him, even though he hasn't been as good as he was for the Tigers the first half of the season. And then they went out and got Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech too. And, Tommy Edman's, he's kind of living in the shadow in the World Series of Freeman's heroics, but he's got a 1.625 OPS in 2 games, and made a couple strong defensive plays. Also had a couple that were, he bobbled and weren't so great, but he's playing fantastic. Unfortunately, like you said, Otani and Judge are not. Soto's been really good. Still at least 2 games left to see how everything squares out.
I think there's a good chance on Wednesday that it's a tied series. There's also a good chance it's over. I know that sounds so stupid. I don't mean it to sound stupid, but basically if Buehler can kind of get nervous, we've seen Buehler struggle. He's not really fully himself. He looked great his last start, but there's a good chance Buehler struggles because he's not Walker Buehler right now. And on top of that, they're in Yankee Stadium, right? Clark Schmidt, I don't know how Clark Schmidt's going to do. I don't know him well enough. But there's a good chance, the Yankees win tonight at home. Then it's a bullpen game, and then we're 2-2. And then in game 5, we have Gerrit Cole pitching. So there's a good chance, like this series isn't quite over yet. And by the time this comes out, either I'm right or the series is basically over because it's 3-0. Who knows? So
yeah, there is a path for the Yankees.
There is a path. It's not over yet.
But by the way, Nestor Cortez, I've heard some things about how he might hang out on, I think it's Whatnot, and he frequently buys into breaks to try to get cards of himself. and he interacts with the chat. Seems like a good guy too. I know he's pretty beloved by the Yankees outside of this moment. So, does that make him a collector that he buys into breaks, or just a gambler?
More so collector than all of us.
Maybe
until we see him flipping his own cards, Phil. I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
I will say, if Nestor Cortez was healthy, I would not have hated that move. It was like the worst position for Nestor. I could see him coming in as like a middle reliever for 3-4 innings to eat some innings. That would make total sense for his being there. But like high leverage, extra innings, runners on base, doesn't make sense.
They put him into basically an unfair spot, honestly.
He's never been in that situation in his career, at least that I know of. Relieving. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
probably overconfidence from the postseason moves. The bullpen moves that Aaron Boone is making. He probably thought he was untouchable. This is we talked about a few behavioral finance biases on this channel. This isn't behavioral finance, but thinking that you are in more control than you actually are based on previous successes, recency. Maybe there's a little bit of that there.
Yeah. Okay, well, how do we think this impacts cards? Judge has been bad. Otani hasn't really been good or bad. He's been kind of not a big deal so far. Freddie Freeman's been good. I feel like his cards may be looked at more favorably by Dodgers in the long run.
Yeah, there were a lot of Freddie Freeman sales in the last 48 hours. Teapot, I looked on Market Movers and hundreds of 2011 Freddie Freemans were selling. His like flagship base, I saw it selling for like between $20 and $30, which is a lot.
This is the rare situation where, and like unlike Adolis Garcia last year, where it makes sense to buy Freddie right now if you can find a good deal because he's Freddie Freeman. Even after the hype's all dead, he's still Freddie Freeman, right? So it makes sense. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and there are some really cool stuff that's come up. I have seen on, again, not from me, I'm not selling my stuff, but on eBay, there's like a Topps Chrome red refractor auto has come up, a couple finest golds, a couple 09 color refractors have hit eBay. So yeah, I think this is the kind of moment where like a veteran does something extraordinary and people look at his full resume. And I'm guessing a lot of collectors were like, wow, Freeman's better than I thought he was. He's so much better than Goldschmidt. I'm just trying to get a rise out of Scott. I just want to see if he was paying attention.
Everything I like, Chris hates. So at this point, I'm not going to be offended by anything he says.
No, and I got to try harder.
The guys I'm looking at right now, Soto and Judge. Trying to take advantage of the weakness, all the attention on the Dodgers. I think there might have been a soft Soto sale yesterday, Bowman Chrome Auto Refractor, PSA 9, that went for less than a lot of people were thinking. I won a Judge card last night.
Did you win the orange?
I did not get that one.
Smaller card.
Yeah.
That's orange. Sorry.
You're still getting Aaron Judge. Even if he doesn't win the World Series, it's still Judge. He's still awesome. Yep. Same with Soto. He's still awesome.
So the Aaron Judge, there's a gold Topps Chrome autograph that sold for $3,100 on the 20th of October. So before the World Series, it went for $3,100 for a PSA 9 Topps Chrome rookie gold autograph. Okay. Yesterday, an orange Topps Chrome rookie autograph of Aaron Judge PSA 9 went for $2,800. $300 less than the gold, and it's entirely because of his performance. In my opinion, if I didn't just make a massive Aaron Judge purchase and had probably overexposure at this point, I would have gone after it, but I already bought some. So
yeah, remember that, people. There were comments in our comments on our videos that maybe I can, like the jinx ability I have is like that horror movie It Follows, and that maybe I have been able to push this off onto someone else. But right now, I think I have pushed it onto Scott. I think you have wrecked Aaron Judge.
I bought a guy's card who has already had like a 600 OPS in the postseason that year. So I don't think I've really wrecked him. If he tonight, his knee explodes, knock on wood, then that's when I can say it was me. But
I do think he's a great buy right now. I mean, people are mad at him.
They're mad.
Hey, you were out there buying Otani's, Chris, and then he dislocated his shoulder. So
he just popped it right back in. He's like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. He's fine.
Maybe he broke the curse.
Is he fine?
He broke the curse.
The Chris curse. The CC.
At the end of the season in the World Series, he broke the curse.
I don't know.
When Freddie Freeman started to get injured, I was like, wow, I've done this is real. Like, this guy never gets hurt. Now he's got a broken finger. Now he's hurt his ankle. Now his kid is sick. I mean, I should just stop buying cards for the benefit of everyone who plays baseball.
Yeah, you should.
But I will say, I'm worried about Otani's shoulder a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't be. Think about Cody Bellinger. Remember we did that celebration and hit his arm, and his shoulder was never the same. He's never really been the same. He had a good year 2 years ago. And then Tatis, his kept getting dislocated. Corbin Carroll had issues.
Hanley Ramirez.
I mean, look, I told you guys, I fell in high school. I fell running in the parking lot out to my car and tripped and dislocated my shoulder. And then I stood up with it out and was running to the trainer, and it popped in as I was trying to get into the school. And I tore my labrum in the process, and my shoulder has never been the same. I have a torn labrum again in my same shoulder after surgery. And it's not a joke. Like, those shoulder ligaments can get screwed up and just be really hard to get back to form. So hopefully that's not the case, because it can be pretty screwy.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they'd put him in the lineup if they thought he was in danger of anything getting worse. I mean, I just don't think they would risk that. They have $700 million tied into this person.
Well, so yeah, I think that he's probably hurt, which sounds dumb, but it's not his front shoulder, which helps a lot. So if it was the same injury on his right side, I don't think he'd be playing. Not because
his throwing shoulder,
but because they don't want it to, as he extends his bat, right? You don't want it to screw yourself up. But I don't know. So let's talk about stolen bases. Will we see him get 50 stolen bases again? Because obviously he got hurt stealing a base, just like Mike Trout did when he stopped stealing bases. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, Phil, I think it was you. Maybe you're talking about like how he'll probably get a 50-50 again, potentially, just because of his, like, who he is. Does this change your mind a little bit?
Maybe. I don't know if he probably gets it again, but
you said that there's a chance, a good chance.
Yeah, there is a chance for sure. Yeah, I mean, in a season where he's pitching too, even though he might only get like 90 to 100 innings next year, coming back from not TJ but braces surgery, whatever you want to call it, I think they're going to be more careful regardless. I think we see a lot more feet first slides from him. Wait, was that a feet first slide? And he was trying to.
He usually does go feet first. He's not a head first guy.
Yeah,
he just hit his wrist really hard and then it overcompensated out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this isn't good. Like any
I have a hard time
injury isn't good, and these shoulder things can keep on popping up.
Yeah,
or no pun intended, popping out. Indeed.
Good thing is it wasn't his throwing shoulder because he's a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah,
so like
that huge
deal. It's his back shoulder when hitting.
Investors for that,
yeah, back shoulder when hitting, not his throwing shoulder. Yeah. So,
yeah, I have a hard time thinking he would go 50-50 again while pitching. Like, there's just the amount of energy the pitching takes. He's not going to play. He's not going to hit every day if he's pitching. Like, he is going to take days off, and that just seems like it almost seems impossible. But everything he does seems impossible. But
in my opinion, if they win the World Series this year, there'll be a lot less pressure on a lot of those players in that team. And I think that they won't be trying so hard. I know that sounds dumb, but like they'll take their off days more often because there's not as much to prove. I think that might be the case, and then they'll save themselves a little bit for the postseason. I know they did that pretty well this year, but I doubt he'll do it again because of just that alone, plus the pitching. Yeah. So
there was an interview with, I forget which manager it was on MLB Network, and they said that it was either Boone or Dave Roberts. And they were just talking about how October stats are the most overrated stats in baseball because the sample size is small and there are hits and stuff that don't affect the game. And what they said, the most important thing is moments, because moments are what we remember. So Freeman's grand slam, and that's what they said if he never gets a hit again, if he doesn't play the rest of the World Series because of his ankle, like he still is, on a mountain remembered forever. Like Kirk Gibson, people think, how many, what did he do his other at-bats? Well, he didn't have any. That was it. That was his only at-bat in 1988. The moments are big. And what really stinks for someone like Aaron Judge is his biggest moment of this postseason was wiped away by like bullpen incompetence on his own team. So he hasn't done very much. And it's incredible, actually. He's yet to have a game with 2 hits. No multi-hit games this October. And he is one of 2 players in baseball history with 200 or more at bats in the playoffs and a batting average under 200. So like the sample size is now big enough where, we have to say that there's an issue here. Either he's getting pitched to extremely tough, which he is. I mean, if you're watching these games, like they're not missing. He had one hanging slider from Trinan that he fouled off, but Yamamoto absolutely carved him up 2 nights ago. Like it was almost unfair, like the pitches he was getting. But
I saw a stat that said that the Yankees are hitting like I don't know, like 285 against fastballs in the first 2 games, and they're hitting like 111 against breaking balls and off speed, everything non-fastball. Like they're just really struggling with those pitches in the first 2 games.
Yeah, it's tough. It's also one of those things where while yes, it is a large sample size, he still has 15 home runs in 55 games.
Yes.
So like at that pace, he's still on pace for like 45 home runs. It's just his batting average is low. So it doesn't matter with batting average until it matters, which is kind of funny.
That's what I was going to like conclude with. Like he could hit 3 walk-offs in New York and completely flip his legacy, but that batting average is just going to be bad. But it won't matter if he gets a couple of big hits in the next 3 games.
Yeah, he still has a 740 OPS, which is shocking for his career playoff numbers. Like he's really one good game away from his OPS being close to 800. And this is how it was in May. In May, before he got hot, he was horrible. And then he ended up with an OPS like at 1155. And so it's one of those things where it's just getting hot and cold. Do I believe in some players in the big moment are better? Probably. Look at Soto. I think he thrives in those situations, but I do think it's overblown, and it's just unfortunate for him, to be honest. Like honestly, Derek Jeter, he's remembered as like a winner. I think he has like a championship win probability for his career of like 1%, like not very high for everything. He did have a great World Series or won the World Series MVP. I understand that, but overall, he's barely above average for his postseason career in regards to like win probability.
But moments, Scott, he's got moments.
It's moments. You're absolutely right. So my biggest concern with Judge, though, is they don't get to this situation ever again. Not that he has a bad postseason, but they never get there. So
no, that's feasible. I also think that Aaron Judge is, and this is feel free to disagree with me. I think Aaron Judge is partially responsible for Stanton's big numbers because I think Judge comes up and the pitchers are hyper focused.
Yeah, I agree.
All their energy is, I have got to get this guy out, and they do. And then there's like a slight let up, and then here comes a hanger, and Stanton hits it like 6,000 feet.
Yes.
Like that's happened at least 5 times at least that I can think of this October that he's gotten a mistake pitch and just annihilated it.
A lot of the times too, I know Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are similar batters in a lot of ways, height, size, all that stuff, but they have to be approached slightly differently a lot of the time. And so sometimes what will happen is the pitching matchups for that inning are usually like, let's change to get the hardest matchup possible for Aaron Judge every time he comes up. And then for Stanton's benefit, it's not quite as bad, right? Kind of the same thing you're saying. But that's one challenge of the postseason too, is he faced the Guardians. I almost said the Indians, the Guardians bullpen, which is by far the best in baseball. So like, yeah, that's tough. Like they had a great rotation bullpen. Like he's facing the best pitchers every night. He's one of the best hitters. He should be doing better. I'm not trying to be an Aaron Judge apologist here, but it's just crazy how a couple bad games in the postseason can overshadow a great 162 games. It's tough.
Yeah, people can forget. I think Phil was talking about buying an Aaron Judge card. I think it's a great time to look for auctions ending right now.
All right. Anything else we want to add, or is that a good recap of the postseason for this episode? Do we want to talk about any other players' cards? Mookie is not doing anything wrong. Hitting 286. He tied the game with the sac fly, which I loved. He had 2 hits yesterday. He's cut a ball off defensively. That was good. Like he's been good this postseason. Yeah. I think those Mookie playoff things will be absolutely dead if they win the World Series with how good he's played this year, which is great.
Otani got on base 17 times in 6 games against the Mets.
In the CS,
And he doesn't have great numbers in the World Series. I mean, he has 1 hit, but he has that moment. Like he took third base on a ball that bounced away. And I know a lot of players would have done that. I mean, Acuna would have tried to score, but that's a really smart heads up play. And it literally stole the Dodgers a run that they desperately needed. So,
I think we should, It's kind of crazy. He has a 472 OPS in the World Series. Hopefully his injury does not prevent it from staying that low. But who cares if you win? It's tough. If you win, you win. Phil, any thoughts?
If you win, you win. Kershaw might get a 2nd ring. So that's
true. That's true.
This doesn't matter at this point. Like how Acuna has 1. His prices are not 0.0001% higher because of that ring. It doesn't matter. And it might not matter even if he had played. I don't know. It probably matters a tiny bit more than 0.001.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where Otani's cards. There was a huge sale, by the way. We should talk about that. There was a PSA 10 blue Bowman Chrome autograph Otani. That batting image went for like $55,000. Huge sale for that card. I think it's probably the highest ever, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
That was on Fanatics Collect. We'll see what the one on eBay goes for. That'll let us know what it's really at, in my opinion. I'm not accusing Fanatics Collect of anything, but there's always all-time sales on that website, it feels like.
Yes, I agree. There definitely seems to be a Fanatics Collect premium over there.
I don't know if it's because people don't realize it's a buyer's premium and then it gets hit with 20% additional. I don't know if that's what happens, or if they're just being, all these really big superstars are being told to go to Fanatics Collect and they don't know any different. It could be it.
Yeah, could be both. Yeah, I mean, if Otani goes to LA and he gets a ring in his first year, I mean, gets an MVP and a ring. So now he's 30 with 3 MVPs and a World Series ring. It's pretty good. It's the career we all thought Trout was having.
Dude, can we talk about Mike Trout for a minute?
Sure.
Actually, I have a statement of Mike Trout later, but I feel bad for him. I know I shouldn't feel bad for Mike Trout. He's making $400 million, but don't you kind of just feel a little bit bad for him?
Yeah.
Ty, do you feel bad for Mike Trout?
I do feel bad for Mike Trout. I feel bad for Mike Trout. As maybe reasonably you can feel bad for an athlete. Yes, I absolutely do. He's just been trapped in hell. And it's almost not fair. Yes, he's making a boatload of money, and yes, he's been injured a lot, but you know.
Do you think
here's a question for the three of you. If you think if he was able to time travel, if he could go back to that day he signed the extension, do you think he would go back and not sign it?
He's weirdly loyal. I don't know if it's a show or if he actually is loyal. I think he actually is loyal, but I think he would wait until the end of that season. Yeah. Personally.
Do you think he'd take half the money to play on a better team?
He would leverage that to get more help if he knew what he knows now, I bet.
Turns out Anthony Rendon was a bust.
Dude.
Hey, I'd rather play for the Angels than a team like the Pirates that don't have a budget.
That's true.
So, I guess.
Rendon, is that the worst contract in baseball history?
It's on its way to being that, yeah. It looks like it at this point, yeah.
The Josh Hamilton one wasn't great, but like that one looks better compared to the Rendon. At least Hamilton dealt with like off the field stuff. Rendon just sucks.
Yeah. And Hamilton was half the money. Even Chris Davis was like, that was one of the worst of all time, but it's Rendon's more money.
And at least Chris Davis tried. He felt bad for him. You don't feel bad for Rendon.
I did not feel bad for Chris Davis because he did not try.
I thought
all those reports coming out of Baltimore were like he wouldn't show up for batting practice. Like he wasn't working on anything in the offseason. He just did not care. He just showed up, collected his money, and went home.
The one thing I heard, which I don't want to make excuses for professional athletes, which I've done a lot on this episode, that they banned his specific medication he was using for like ADHD or something. And that had like a huge impact on his ability to perform. I don't know how true that is, but that's one thing is like the moment that was gone, he like struggled.
I was talking to a kid at a bachelor party and he was saying like the ball looks like a beach ball when you take those things.
Really?
And whether he has some form of, hyperactivity, ADD or ADHD or doesn't, I don't know. I don't think it mattered. I think it was just a big advantage for his ability to take it. And I think in the MLB, it probably comes down to, do you have a diagnosis? And you can take something like Adderall, where it's not like outright banned. And maybe Chris Davis was taking it and something expired or something, and so he got in trouble. Or
this is a conversation for another day. Anyways, but I don't want to like have to dive into like news reports like you're saying, but it is one of those things where it's tough. Baseball's a hard sport. So hopefully the Yankees figure it out tonight. I want them to win because I want a good series. I think we all probably are kind of hoping for that. You're not hoping at all for a good series. You want to sweep? That sounds so
4 and done.
So boring. So boring. I'm hoping
call it in 3 if we can. But yeah, I need 4 and done.
What about a few more Soto moments? Take it to 5 or 6 games, Chris? I mean, you don't even like the Dodgers. You just like a few of the players on the team.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to see Freeman, I want to see Freeman get another ring.
He'll get one, but I want him to at least be competitive. I mean,
the sad part for me is that like I'm a Braves fan, obviously, but like 70% of my PC is playing for the Dodgers, and it stinks. Like, I don't know.
Sell it to me. I'll take your Mookies.
You just tried to take a Mookie today and failed. Not for me, but
hey, to be fair, I offered him exactly what he accepted, and I would have paid more. So to be fair,
Scott made an offer on a Mookie that was auto declined 2 days ago, and then this morning the seller accepted that same offer from someone else.
And I told Chris if he would have just countered at higher, I would have taken it, but he didn't counter. So
that's so frustrating.
Baseball cards.
For the betterment of the sport, I think we want this series to go as long as possible.
Yeah.
We're talking about how this is like an all-time matchup. MVP versus MVP. Hall of Famers versus Hall of Famers. Big market versus big market. Best team versus best team. Last year, it was D-backs versus Rangers. Yes, Adelise had some moments. Corey Seager had a moment. But one of one of every 8 years, maybe. Sweeps don't really happen more than 1 or 2 times a decade, right? In World Series.
No,
So
they're not
for it to
that
end on
common.
a sweep, we don't want that. We don't want that. We want a good product.
What do we think about Gerrit Cole's market? Like, he looked incredible in game 1. I didn't notice a ton of Gerrit Cole sales. Teapot, was the market movers show like a lot of Gerrit Cole interest out there?
I don't know. I haven't looked, but I doubt it.
The fact that you haven't looked, I think, says it all. It's weird.
These are the guys you should pick up, not the ones with the obvious moments. But like Gerrit Cole, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll bid a little bit, maybe $10 more in this hobby box of 2013 Topps Chrome, seeing like what's happening here a bit. Maybe we get a full season from him next year too. Is he fully healthy now for real? He doesn't have any partial tear. Okay. And then 13 update jumbos, picked up a couple of those too. Partially driven by that because Arenado sucks now. No offense.
He sucks so bad.
Christian Yelich, he's broken.
He's done. Sorry, Jeff, if you're listening, Jeff.
13 update though has some great SSPs in there. That's where the Machado rookie SSP is in that, and there's some really good stuff in there.
It's too bad the Machado doesn't have a rookie debut in that set. He has a rookie, but there's no rookie logo. He has an all-star card, but no rookie logo. Okay, can we talk about Juan Soto really fast in his cards? So he's obviously done great. Juan Soto currently, did I change the page? He has a 1,400 OPS in the World Series so far. So he's doing pretty good. He's doing really good. But if the Yankees get swept, do you think he leaves to New York over to the Mets? Like, what's going to happen? He's obviously been good. He's like an assassin for hire, coming in and performing well. But like, what happens to Soto? His cards, like, what are we thinking?
We were just talking about one of his, like, he had a Bowman Chrome refractor sell yesterday, I think, for a lower price than we were all expecting. I don't think, for Soto collectors, I don't think this World Series matters. I think it's all going to come down to where he signs. Like, I've talked to some people about Soto cards I have, and like a lot of people I've talked to are in holding patterns. Like, they don't know what to do. If he signs with the Mets, or God help us, the Giants, like, his hobby could be done. It doesn't mean, I don't think it matters if they win the World Series. I don't think people are going to buy his cards until he re-signs with the Yankees. I think that's the single most important like hobby thing that can happen in the next 2 months.
His hobby could be done if he went to the Mets. This guy played for the Nationals and the Padres. But you're right though. Like that's the big factor where he signs versus the World Series outcome, in my opinion, based on the way I see things. But could be wrong. Like I said, I think there was a soft moment. So despite the massive OPS, I think he had some cards yesterday, at least one that sold for a little less than what a lot of people expected. They're being down 0-2. A lot of attention on the Dodgers. To me, I mean, he's dominating, so I don't care. I don't want him to go to a team other than the Dodgers or Yankees. So last week we had a report that the Dodgers were interested. Of course, throw some money at the guy. The new evil empire, the Los Angeles Dodgers, if they win this year. And they're probably going to get that Roki Sasaki guy when he posts, I'm guessing. Is that going to be this year or next year? I just sold the card of his. So it's soon.
This year.
Is it this year? He's this year too? Wow.
Dustin May will be their 13th starting pitcher.
Dude.
And 1 year they'll all be healthy, and they're going to be like, what do we do with these guys now?
They're going to win 130 games or something stupid. Okay. But it's one of those things, though. If they get Soto, let's say they say, hey, Juan, we'll give you a 2-year deal, $150 million, $75 million AAV. We don't care about the luxury tax. We're going all in for 2 years. We're not worried about it. We have so much money because of Otani and Sasaki and Yamamoto. We'll give you $75 million. It'd be a crazy 2-year run for the Dodgers. And we saw this same type of approach for Bryce Harper back in when he was a free agent, 2020. Was that 2020, 2019 when he signed with the Phillies? And he didn't take that deal. It wasn't nearly that high. It was a high AAV short-term deal, but he preferred to have a long-term deal. But, man, he's young enough where he could take that type of thing and then still get a $5 million contract, which is pretty crazy to think.
Yeah, he'd be a free agent again at 28 instead of 26.
Wow. I think Judge's performance right now is forcing their hand a little bit more with Soto.
They have to sign him.
That's one argument that I would have in favor of higher chances the Yankees make a push. Jeez. Have you heard some numbers getting thrown out there?
I've heard no, not from any teams yet, but it's going to be. It's in my opinion, it'll hit 600.
More speculation from analysts around the sport.
Yeah,
and you start to, and it's like, wait, Otani money again? We thought
well,
the Otani money.
They were predicting Willy Adames getting 250 million. If Willy Adames, who's like 3 years older, gets 250, Soto's not even going to be close to 400.
Right. True. Younger.
Yeah, some website I think predicted like 13 and 540, but that doesn't seem like enough. I think like 15,600 is probably like around the starting point.
And
like
I know we
40 million.
But all these teams are thinking we'll worry about age 37 to 40 Soto when that happens. We're going to get him while we can.
It's a decade from now. Yeah, I mean that's not. Man, there's got to be some serious vetting of his personal life though before you sign that deal.
What could possibly go wrong, Chris? That hasn't happened recently.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
$1 billion is a lot of money for a DH.
I wonder if anything like that happened recently. I don't know.
Man.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Hopefully the Yankees win tonight, just so that's a good series. And if they win tonight, we'll have, at least I'll be able to do a live stream tomorrow with whoever else can join. It could be all 5 of us if we're all able to for the game. So cross your fingers. If they don't win, we probably won't. You probably won't even be hearing this if they lose because Phil will edit it out. So other than that, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.